Welcome back. It's time for us to take a quick look at what's happening on the covers of the newspapers this morning. Mike and I will do our best to do this justice.
Yep.
Thanks for joining me, Mike.
All right.
We have the Punch newspaper here with us this morning. Today is Monday, October 28th, 2024. Again, varsities face lockdown as workers begin strike today. Non-teaching staff shut varsities, offices, gates. Ministry mum as minister quits Wednesday. Beside the masthead, it says LP-ADC governorship candidates woo voters with free education and others. Page 13 has more on that. State won't tamper with local government funds, Aye Datiwa tells voters. That's on the Ondo governorship poll. Federal government plans tax overhaul to access $750 million World Bank loan. Army begins enlisting ex-soldiers to bridge manpower shortfall. EFCC to track funds as local government autonomy begins November. And NSCDC arrests illegal Chinese miners in Nasarawa. Helicopter crash. Family demands body of missing NMPCL worker. And Lagos probes engineer's death at construction site. That's what we have on the cover of the Punch. Any story jump out at you there, Mike? We did talk a little bit about the university's strike.
Which of the workers are these? I've not really delved into the story, but which of the workers here are we
talking about? So it says here non-teaching staff.
Non-teaching staff, yes. And all of that.
So they're the ones that keep the wheels turning.
Yeah,
yeah. They're the ones that make sure all the administrative activities are smooth.
That should be NASU, non-academic staff.
Yes.
That's NASU. And at different times, I remember then if NASU were to go on strike, we would have issues with facilities, facility management. Yeah. From the hostels being cleaned to the toilet, to the environment and all of that, the lecture halls and all of that. So that's of course under the exactly bursary and all of that.
Payments.
So everything, all of that is under the purview of NASU. Yeah. They are vital. I know that for some time schools found a way to trudge ahead without NASU. But it made life very uncomfortable for students and, like you said, for operations when it comes to universities. That's quite some while back. But we spoke about education during What's Up and About, and as a country, we need to do more when it comes to education. I know that the Education Ministry is one of the ministries that had one of the ministers reassigned and all of that. A number of people said a number of things. Remember, this was the same minister who put up an age of 18 years, which for me was very absurd. That was one of the most absurd rulings I've seen anyway when it comes to education. Education and defense. Those are things that in major countries take a majority of the budget. Education, you're building for tomorrow. So we really, really should put in more. We really should put more emphasis into education and how it's a newspaper clip, a cutout clip I'd seen from the 80s, still talking about ASU and NASU strikes back then. Even when things were much better than now, these things have plagued education. That means that we have not given it as much emphasis as we should. We should do better when it comes to education.
Let's see what we have on the cover of the Guardian newspaper at this point in time. RMAFC faults high cost of governance, seeks better prudence. NIWA to phase out wooden boats on inland motorways, MD assures. It also says here, search enters day 4 as NSIB recovers 4th helicopter crash victim. Let's see what else we have here. Nigerians.
That was the helicopter we're talking about.
Yes,
and there's one thing that really hurts me whenever it has to do with casualties and things like this. Preventable accidents, preventable deaths. 2018, 6 years ago, in a working economy, this was deregistered, this was scrapped. It is a lifespan. And then but somebody wants to find a cheaper way to do business rather than getting a newer or a more reliable or dependable craft. You go for something that was deregistered and scrapped by someone. And there are a lot like this in different other sectors. This doesn't have to do, this has to do, you know, it's all across us. As a people, we're really broken. How does one do that? How does one do that? And this, the copter had about 3 registration numbers going through different people, changing ownership at different times, and then was scrapped 6 years ago. This should be ringing alarm bells. On a normal day, we should declare a state of emergency. Aero accidents are not something that, you know, should regularly happen. Whenever it happens, there are landmark events. There is a cause for some sort of decisive action that should happen.
We have, in fact, our hearts go out to the families that were affected by that crash. Indeed, it was very, very sad. It also says here on the cover of The Guardian, Dangote-backed CNG Drive invests over $280 million in trucks infrastructure. I was actually going to touch on that because, you know, I saw when I was leaving the office on Friday, some buses, yellow CNG fuel buses that are of the same size as the BRT. And, you know, I was trying to think about how long this process is going to take to actually make an impact or pull people away from using petrol.
How are you pulling people away? Where is the world going to? What other country in the world uses CNG as a major source of, you know, when it comes to fueling for transportation? What I know is that people are moving forward, and you're talking about electric vehicles. I know that there's a lot that we're trying to do to try to cut back, but CNG, is that moving forward? When you think
about the electricity aspect of things here in Nigeria, which one would be more reliable?
Why don't we talk about sorting out our electrical? I mean, we've seen past presidents who spent billions, tens of billions of dollars trying to fix electricity. Why don't we fix it? Why do we have to? You know, I'm just saying, and you even have some countries. Look at Scandinavia, the Scandinavian region. There are countries that even have roads that charge the cars. That means that you get to a point where if you are living in a particular area, you don't even need a car charger.
Yeah.
Think about how far that is going. Because now why I mentioned this is the risk involved with CNG. We've had cases of explosions. Now, there is a factory standard when it comes to manufacturing of the casing for the CNG. It is said it should be bulletproof. That is not going to be cheap.
Definitely not.
I don't know how many of these CNG cylinders are bulletproof. You know the difference between a bulletproof vehicle and a normal vehicle, what it adds to the cost.
Sure.
Do you understand? So how many of these CNG vehicles, or how many of these cylinders are actually standard, bulletproof, in such a way, how many of them can withstand volatility? You understand? Volatility of, you know how gas can be. So a number of questions need to be asked. And you know that we always find a way to, we always find a way to cut, we always find a way to make things cheaper. So people will normally go for a cheaper material.
So in the end, we can't really say what caused these explosions, to be honest.
We can't.
We can't
say we can't say because, I mean,
Mike,
things happen, you investigate. You can't say you...
What I'm saying is,
can't.
Yes, you've talked about how safe it is. But I'm thinking about if the fact that these vehicles were actually constructed for using CNG, not even converted, it might be another conversation. Maybe
if you're going to do it in such a way, manufacturers, if the government is involved and says that every CNG car is going to come from the government, maybe a government specified manufacturer, or the government is going to be directly involved in it, so that the public sector does not get involved. That's where people want to make money. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Sure.
My point is that how safe are these? We've heard of these explosions. If we're going to do it and do it well, then it should be really monitored. It should be regulated as an industry, as it were.
It's a conversation that we need to continue maybe some other time, though, but we still have the Daily Trust newspaper here with us. It says here, hardship bites hard as North enters 8th day without electricity, services grounded in hospitals and labs, residents, frozen food dealers count losses, and vandals on the prowl destroying transformers. Efforts to restore power ongoing, according to TCN. It says here, low sales at petrol stations as citizens abandon vehicles, fuel price up by 600% in 2 years, and increased energy cost threat to economic growth, according to experts. So this is sort of still follows up on the conversation we've already begun. Apparently, there was about a 64%, correct me if I'm wrong, drop in the number of vehicles visiting petrol stations over the
We've heard 64, we've heard 90. The point is, when it comes to data, statistics, and accountability here, we are doing very terrible at it, so we don't know the exact amount. But we know there's a drop. Somebody was talking about how even from here to the island, normally by a particular time, you'd expect traffic.
There's no
but
traffic.
Now it's freer. Yes. People would even drop their cars. People, I mean, before you go out, it has to be urgent. Pertinent. Yeah. It has to be urgent before you enter, say, one drive car, come out. Because think about it now. People are filling tanks for a V8 engine. People are filling tanks now with over 100,000.
A lot of people are dropping their V8 engines at
do you know
home
what it means to fill a tank with 100,000? And then, you know what it means? 70,000 is now becoming average. I mean, if you have your average sedan, which is 50 liters for the something, you're looking at over 55,000 naira to fill your tank from scratch, 55 to 60,000. Only that's the average. Yeah. But barely minimum. I don't know if that, of course, for maybe the smaller cars, you have tanks that are smaller than 50 liters. But that's the average, 55,000 to 60,000 naira to fill a tank. So, I mean, think about it. Somebody even mentioned that I can't believe it. You hold 5,000 naira and you might not get to the island and back to the mainland.
No, so putting in 5,000 naira worth of fuel probably doesn't
No, not even fuel. I'm talking about even public transportation.
Oh, public transportation, yeah. Very true, very true.
So,
but there are additional options now when it comes to transportation, since the red and blue rail
red and blue rail, exactly.
They're active now, so that might be an alternative.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's manage that well. Yeah. Kudos to the government of Lagos State for putting that together. I'd seen it. I am looking forward to having a ride on one of them and probably documenting my experience. Yeah.
At this point, let's wrap it up on the headlines in the dailies. Your thoughts are, of course, so welcome. Use our hashtag Wake Up Nigeria on TVC and let us know. Let's take a quick break. There's still more on Wake Up Nigeria.